But he got a flag down.
Oofside.
Everyone but the center. Offense.
You're listening to Oofsides on Track and Turf Media.
Talk about playoffs? But they are who we thought they were.
Who's gonna win it all?
Football.
And who is Dunyan Rings?
You play to win the game.
Live from the Dieter Brock studio.
Don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug.
Here's the crew that's bringing it all to you.
Welcome to Oofsides, and baby, we are bringing it all to you. It's the Week 15 recap. How you guys feeling?
Everything hurts and I'm dying.
That time's about 13.
I'm not gonna lie, I forgot the Patriots played this week.
I wish I
I
did.
was like, weren't they on bye? Oh no, that's right.
The bye week was great.
Can we go back to that?
It's my favorite week of the year.
I'm feeling pretty good. More on that later, though. Yeah, we're coming up on the holidays. Things are nice.
Agony.
You got paid today. Feeling good.
Oh,
Um,
wagey.
yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I have a car that won't stop dying, so that's a big part of it.
Well, what kind of car is it?
It is a Ford Focus.
Ah, the Ford. That's why. You'll fix
So
it
you
again,
should,
Tony.
you should focus on it not dying.
This reminds me of a Top Gear joke where there was a guy in the crowd who said that like Fiats are garbage cars because they're French. And they're like, what does the I in Fiat stand for?
Yeah, well, what's the F in Fiat stand for?
Fuck. Anyway, let's I guess we just jump right into it because it started on a rainy day in Santa Clara on Thursday night.
A very meaningful game could not have been more boring. If you listened in closely, you could hear Al Michaels snoring. By the fourth quarter, the Niners found themselves down after a linebacker channeled his inner Antonio Brown. For the boys from San Fran, this one really stings, and it inches them closer to appearing on Dunyan Rings as the Rams defeat the 49ers 12-6. Ew.
This is one of those games where it's just like everything coming out of this game is just bad vibes for the 49ers. I mean, it started midweek when Debo was criticizing the team and the offense about not getting the ball enough. And he like clapped back at somebody on Twitter about how he's like, it ain't my fault, I'm not getting the ball. And then there was like, he got
The
community
community
noted
note.
that basically said he leads the team in drops. And then you had the moment during where the Amazon crew doesn't know who Trent Williams is, and they were trying to
Oh my god.
like run something about how he wasn't playing and was just filming some random guy. And then so what was going on with the linebacker whose name currently escapes me, because I've been hearing about it, but I didn't know what happened.
Devondre Campbell.
So,
Yeah.
So this by the way is our WTF or what the football moment of the week as well. So he was signed in the offseason because of the injury to Dre Greenlaw when he tore his Achilles in the Super Bowl. But he was like their number 2 option because they had originally signed Eric Kendricks, but then he backed out and went to Dallas instead. So he signed there, and it was basically, the Niners and Kyle Shanahan being like, hey, we need a guy that can fill in to the best of their abilities until Dre Greenlaw comes back. And I guess Kyle Shanahan was talking today, and he said that he had known him from when they were both with the Falcons, and that he was like confident that he could bring what the team needed and all that. So Dre Greenlaw comes back in this game. He'd missed the first 13, 12, whatever many games. He gets activated for this game, and I think he like aggravated the injury or he hurt something. There was something where he had to come out of the game for a play or two. And so, Kyle Shanahan or whoever it was, like, hey, Devondre Campbell, come back into the game. We know you're not starting anymore, but, Dre is not feeling great. Come back in. And he just refused. He just didn't come back into the game. And so he was like, okay. And then I don't know who they put in instead, but it was somebody else that was on the team. And I think by the fourth,
sure
he had
hope
gone
so.
back to the locker room by himself, just walked in there. And then I think they interviewed I think Kittle was, and there was somebody else where they were like, yeah, no, guys don't do that to each other in the league. Like, you don't just abandon your teammates like that.
Yeah.
And like back when Vontae Davis, rest in peace, when he retired at halftime, I remember people being like kind of giving him shit for that. But this was like an entirely different vibe where I've never seen so many of his teammates being so outspoken about it after it happened publicly.
Yeah. I just read
was-
about the Vontae Davis thing to catch up, and part of it was that he recognized that the game passed him by in the middle of the game, and he just pulled himself out. But
Yeah,
this
he just
time
didn't
around,
want to come back in the game
yeah,
because he was all pissed that he wasn't starting anymore. And it's like, bro, that's what you came here to do. You were signed as the fill-in guy.
Yeah, didn't Deontay Johnson do the same thing this week with the Ravens? Or
yeah, but
They
the
like
Ravens are
excused him
willingly,
from team activities this week or something.
Yeah.
instead of outright releasing him.
There's
Yeah.
just been so much weird stuff with the 49ers this year. Just so many weird vibes. And like the weirdest one was, I think it was on, it might have been on NFL Daily, I can't remember. But like somebody was just talking about like, oh yeah, you know, the Browns job might be open for Kyle Shanahan. And it was like, Shanahan's with the 49ers? Like he's
why
the
would he
head
leave
coach?
the Browns?
Is there like it almost felt like somebody who knew something slipped up?
Yeah,
So I don't think that'll happen, but keep an eye on that. So
I'm sure
Just-
Kevin Stefanski was thrilled about that too.
yeah, I mean that's the other weirdness to it, which I mean we can talk about that when we get to the Browns. But yeah, just a lot of weirdness with the 49ers. You know,
Yeah, so he went to the locker room by himself, I think again around the beginning of the fourth, and so they subbed in a different guy. And so the team suspended him for the last 3 games, I think yesterday or the day before. And so since it was a 1-year deal, he's going to be a free agent, so he can't just go sign with somebody else for the rest of the year. So he's not going to play for the 49ers again. And Kyle Shanahan went in front of the media again today, and he was explaining the whole process about how they signed him and where it led to. And he basically ended the question by saying, basically, we made a mistake.
Jesus.
You gotta fuck up real bad for your head coach just publicly go in front of the media and say, yeah, we fucked up by signing you.
I mean, it just reminds me of Mike Singletary, like absolutely throwing. Oh my God, who was it?
Was it Vernon Davis?
Vernon Davis. That's who it was. I knew it started with a V. Doing the like, we can't win with him. It was like,
yeah.
bro, that's your own team. Like, come on. And as Jim Harbaugh would prove, you absolutely could win with him. But you might be wondering why we're talking about this, and we haven't even talked about the game because nothing happened.
This was the biggest thing that happened in the game, and it was for a guy that didn't actually participate in the game.
Yeah, there was a string at one point of 8 straight punts by both teams in the first half of this game. Just an all around.
Kyron Williams got 100 yards.
Yeah.
More notably, too, Cooper Kupp was held without a reception, and the Rams won.
Yeah. He basically just became like a tight end in this game. It was just blocking the whole time. It seemed like. Yeah, I mean, it was super rainy the whole time. I did not think it was going to affect both of these teams that much. But Brock Purdy had probably his worst game of the season. And it wasn't even that bad of a game, but was just largely ineffective. 49ers are feeling their lack of depth at running back right now. I mean, and the thing that people have been pointing out too is like, why is Debo not running it now? You know, there was obviously the whole contract holdout and everything. It was either last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember. And a big part of it was he didn't want to basically be the impromptu running back that they had been using him as because he didn't want to shave years off of his career. And now you're in a situation where that could probably help you. And if you have a dude who's been, I mean, largely ineffective this year, Debo's not having a good year. as we kind of touched on earlier, and you have essentially no running game, like you might have to be a little selfless here. But I don't know. Like it's just all bad vibes for this team, it seems.
Yet this was also the first game that Cooper Cup suited up for that he did not record a reception in since week 6 of 2018. So
Oh my god.
he had gotten at least one reception in every game he had played for the last 6 years, and somehow the one time he didn't, the Rams still managed to win because the Niners just, I guess, forgot how to utilize some of their key position players.
Yeah, and he's also kind of been replaced as the number one by Puka, it seems like.
It definitely feels that way, but he like the fact that he was still held to fewer receptions than Tutu Atwell and Blake Corum and whoever Hunter Long is
Yeah.
and Colby Parkins. Like I don't know, I mentioned it a couple weeks ago with AJ Brown. Sometimes like the big guy doesn't have the big game, but to not have a reception at all was just kind of really jarring to see almost. For a guy that's been their focal point now for the better part of 6 years.
Yeah, agreed. So
I don't think it's anything to worry about. I think it's just
agreed.
being a rainy game. You don't want to force it to them.
Just
There's
a
nothing to
big
gain
outlier.
from it. Yeah.
Yeah. So an ugly win, but a win nonetheless for the Rams, who now sit at 8-6, and as how they got there, we'll get to later. But now leading the NFC West.
Yeah, and I believe now the Niners or the Rams have swept the Niners this year, so they are 2 games up with 3 games left, and they have the tiebreaker. So the Niners are kind of circling the drain for this year now. It ain't looking good.
One last stat before we go. This was the first game in Rams 49ers history that had no touchdowns through 3 quarters, and the first game ever by these two teams that also had no touchdowns.
Wow.
First time for everything.
Well, goddamn.
Anyway, on to Carolina. Gotta wait for the cue. After 3 straight tough one-score losses to 3 of the NFL's top-flight teams, the Panthers came back down to earth against their next tough opponent, the Dallas Cowboys? Bryce Young's Cinderella run came to an end as the Dallas defense forced 4 turnovers on the sophomore QB. On the other side of the ball, Rico Dowdle and CeeDee Lamb made life easy for their QB as Cooper Rush scored 3 times through the air as he and America's team cling on to life in the race for the 7th seed. How about them Cowboys?
Why were the Panthers favored to win this game?
It was the first time they've been favored to win a game, I think, since early 2022, I believe was the stat.
Yeah. Who decided that? Because they were very, very wrong.
Yeah. To be fair, the Panthers have played pretty strong recently, but I don't think anybody predicted the Bryce Young mistakes to come back against what's been a pretty crummy Cowboys defense.
A very short-handed one at that too.
Yeah. This was
a
strange game.
times. Yeah.
And I mean, he didn't have an awful game. He still moved the ball through the air. This wasn't to the same depth that we've seen from Bryce Young through a year and a half. So I think that uptick in performance that we've seen over the last month and a half, 2 months is probably going to stay. Because this isn't the type of loss that I see and I panic over.
Right.
I think they still have something in Bryce Young.
Yeah. It's not like he's bad. It's these things happen. This team is still bad.
Yeah.
And like at one point in the second quarter when he threw that touchdown to you, Jalen Coker, I mean, that was right on the dot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this game could have gone a completely different way, too, where the game started, they force the Cowboys punt, they drive 67 yards on 14 plays, and then while in the Cowboys red zone, they fumble it. And that's 7 points taken off the board. 3 drives later, the Cowboys score, and then it's, an interception, and then now all of a sudden they're down 10-0. That's a huge swing in the momentum of this game. Got to talk about also Mike McCarthy at this point is just going for records because they lined up Brandon Aubrey before half to try a 70-yard field goal.
Well,
Fuck it,
at
why
least we
not?
got to see it this time, unlike week 1 when they pussied out of it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad they let him do it, even though it was awful.
Yeah.
He's gonna hit one of those at some point.
It's got to happen eventually.
If there's
Yeah.
one guy in the league that can, it's him.
Yeah.
And then out of half, it didn't get much better for the Panthers because first play from scrimmage, Bryce Young gets sacked and stripped of the ball. That immediately leads to a Cowboys touchdown as well.
And then the 3-and-out, and then the touchdown right after that, and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
like it was 10-7 coming out of the half, and then by about the 7-minute mark in the third, it was 24-7, and I was like, "Oh, fuck, this one's over."
Yeah, this game was like a prime example in how things can snowball.
And then it was yeah.
On the other side, much like what we saw, I believe 2 years ago, a pretty goddamn good game from Cooper Rush. And I know he's not going to challenge the starting position for Dak, but that Jerry Jones is going to make something out of this.
Like, oh, look, he's playing good again. Maybe he'll be better. And then he'll have like a 4-pick game in a couple weeks. It's like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I feel like they still play the Eagles again, and
They
much
do.
like
At Philly week 17.
And that was 2 years ago when Cooper Rush was like 4-0 as a starter, and they were like, "Oh, we might have a quarterback controversy," and then he got fucking destroyed by the Eagles, and it was like, well,
Never mind. Yeah, no, their last 3 games are the Bucks, the Eagles, and the Commies. So he's gonna have to prove a whole lot if he wants to actually make that a thing.
Yeah. So we're probably also looking at the last Cowboys win of the season. Let's be real.
Entirely possible.
That's 3 teams that are all in absolute must-win situations right now, and the Cowboys are too. But they need help. So I jest a little bit about the "how about them Cowboys" thing, but hey, we got. I'm taking what I can get. Okay.
I say it cautiously, like with actual grammar. Like, how about those Cowboys?
Yeah.
Like no enthusiasm, just bringing it up as a conversation point.
What do you
How
guys
about
think?
them Cowboys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did we have anything else to say about this game?
Not really.
Not really.
Yeah.
It's the Panthers.
Doesn't really matter.
Who cares?
Gonna be a good draft pick. On to Houston.
For the first time in 2 months, CJ Stroud has a decent game. Is it any surprise that it coincides with Nico Collins reeling in 2 touchdowns? After a significant skid, the Houston Texans finally get right and take down the Miami Dolphins 20-12. With 2 minutes left, Tua finds his Pookie Bear Tyreek, but a ridiculous grab by Derek Stingley shuts the door on a Dolphins season and all but clinches the AFC South for the Texans.
That was a ridiculous interception.
That absurd.
That like that is why Derek Stingley was picked where he was in the draft.
Yeah.
When I saw the highlight of that play, I was like, "Oh, that's a cool catch by Tyreek," and then I just see Stingley run off with the ball, and I was like, "Wait, what?" And then I had to rewatch it like 3 times to see how he even ended up with it. It was fucking nuts. Also, quick aside, the fact that you just called him Tua's Pookie Bear reminded me of this video one of my friends posted from Shrek the Third, where the caption is like, "How me and my bros talk to each other," in parentheses, "we're both heterosexual," and it's like Prince Charming and his princess, and she's like, "What is it, Pookie Bear?" And he's like, "Not now, kitten whiskers." Anyway,
So
yeah. Oh, God.
I was gonna say a couple notes from this. One, not a great game from Tua, and
No.
2, I'm glad that Grant Dubose is okay because
Oh my
holy
God.
fuck was that a bad hit.
That was
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, that was
That was
scary.
really bad.
Yeah, that is about the worst way you can get hit helmet to helmet, and then you get the whole stretchered off, like strapped in and everything. But like you mentioned, he has movement in all of his extremities, so more than likely going to be fine. But good God,
He
did
was
that
put
look
on
bad.
IR today, so he's out for the year. But
Yeah,
more importantly, like he can still like move the stuff that you need to move.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I believe he was released from the hospital today.
yeah,
So
Okay.
his season's done, but he's out of danger, I would say.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um. Yeah. To stay on the Dolphins' offense, there's always the narrative about like, oh man, these Mike McDaniel, Tua teams that really fade as the weather gets cold. It might just be an end of season thing because it wasn't cold in Houston and it was another flat offensive performance. So I mean, I have not been buying into the Dolphins since they got onto this kind of hot streak towards the end of this year, and this just kind of reinforced it that it's like I don't know, man. I don't know what the future is for this team. You know?
It. I was genuinely surprised at like I thought the Texans were a better team throughout the whole year, but like I was surprised at how flat they came out in this game.
Yeah.
Like for a must-win for a team that had been improving, they had scored I think 30 points in three of their previous 4 games, and they just could only muster 12 against a defense that's been pretty lackluster at times. Was a little bit of a shocker.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at the drive summary, I mean, it's 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter alone when the Texans didn't score outside of early in the third quarter. Like, they had so many chances to get something done and they just couldn't do it. And it's not going to win you games down the stretch. Um, yeah. As for the Texans, I don't know what to make of them either. Like this is one of the more disappointing teams. I mean, they're 9-5. They clinched their playoff spot with this win. Um, but
I think they're a round 1 exit though.
yeah, I'm very sheepish on them right now, especially when probably going to be hosting the Ravens. If things keep going the way they are, so not feeling great
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, it's that injury to Stephon Diggs just completely derailed their season. I mean, they have the pieces. It's just they still need another year to really break
Gel it all
out.
together.
Yeah. And I mean, we've seen CJ Stroud has not played as sharp as he did last year. So maybe a little bit of sophomore slump too, but um, I still think they're a team of the future, and they're just not there yet.
They're just aided by playing in a dog shit division right now.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
It helps that nobody else in this division can decide if they want to be good or not. More on that later. Speaking of teams that can't decide if they're going to be good or not, let's head down to Glendale.
It was a game of revenge for a fella named Chad, and for him and the Cardinals, good times were had. They dominated Mayo's well-regulated militia, and in terms of worst coaches, he might be the commissioner. The Cards are trying to cash a playoff check at the bank, while it's good the Pats are a militia because they've embraced the tank. I'm sure there was someone cheering for the Cards named Tammy, but fans gonna be fans, so I couldn't blame Tammy. As the Cardinals unfortunately defeated the Patriots 30-17. This was not fun to watch at all.
Yeah, it's just poetic that in the Chad Ryland revenge game, it started with a Patriots missed field goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do have to talk about, well, because it happened early in the game. Let's get our Greg Dortch update out of the way first.
Cause he is Greg George, short king, proud of Glendale's football team, scoring all the touchdowns for you. Punt return man, kickoffs too. He's Greg Dortch.
So we were robbed of a Dortch down because Greg Dortch received or caught a pass from, I believe, the 7-yard line, or from the New England 8, ran it for 6 yards, and then fumbled it, and then it was recovered in the end zone for a touchdown by another Cardinal. So we got robbed of a Dortch down, and I'm mad. And then,
Oh, that's a
Covered by a
shame.
lineman.
yeah, and then Greg Dortch did not have another reception for the rest of the game. So Kyler, I'm fucking on to you.
Do
He
we
did
have a
have
Dortch
two punt
Traversi in
returns.
Glendale?
Wait, no, sorry, I was incorrect. He had 2 more catches. I was reading the wrong thing.
Okay. You're on thin fucking ice, Kyler.
Yeah, 3 receptions for 60 yards. Got to get my man his score. So,
And he had 2 punt returns for 13 yards. And also, speaking of guys needing to get their scores, I believe in this game as well, Trey McBride broke the all-time NFL record for most catches in a year without scoring a touchdown.
I did hear that stat.
He has 89 receptions for 938 yards, but has not scored a touchdown.
I want him to crack 1,000 yards without scoring a single time. That would be so good. I need it in my life.
But
Did
I
this just
think
happen a few years ago?
You know,
I thought that was the thing with Josh Jacobs not getting a receiving touchdown.
Well,
That's
there's
right,
also
yeah.
Jacoby Myers didn't score a touchdown for like the first 2 years of his career.
But I think the most frustrating part of this game, honestly, was like, obviously the Patriots have had trouble defending the pass all year, but they've had some pretty decent games defending the run. But my God, did James Conner look like prime LT during the entirety of this game? It did not make any sense to me whatsoever. That like, and I'm not saying James Conner's a bad running back, but but the Patriots have played better running backs this year and have held them to less. How did this happen?
Yeah. Also, I just looked up most reception yards in a season without scoring a touchdown. Number 1 is Al Toon for the in 1991 with 963 yards. So McBride at 938 is very close. Do you guys want to guess what team Al Toon played for?
The
Cardinals.
Arizona Cardinals.
The Jets.
Oh my God.
Do you want to know who's number 4 on this list, Steven?
It's Deontay Johnson.
It's
think.
Deontay Johnson in 2022. Also, friend of the show, and Dwayne Bowe is number 9. So, in 2014, the year that the Chiefs had 0 touchdowns by any of their wide receivers.
That should not be a real stat.
One of my favorite stats of all time.
I'm
That's
also
ideal
enjoying
football.
I'm also
That's
enjoying that
ethical ball.
the Jets are still catching strays during the Patriots segment. Very, very happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this
Yeah.
was just not an enjoyable game. It was 23-3 in the 4th, and then they said, well, why don't we just score 2 garbage time touchdowns to make this look not as bad? Even though the first one was very cool. Like, I don't know if you saw the play or not, but Drake May was scrambling to his left, and he looked like he was going to run out of bounds, and he just kind of shovel passed it forward to Kate.
Oh,
I think it
I
was
did see
Mario
that,
Douglas
yes.
into the end zone. That shit rocked. The
Yeah,
problem
that was really
was that should have happened in the second quarter.
Yeah. Would have been nice to not happen when you're down like 20
By 20. Yeah.
Drake May has honestly been impressive so far.
Oh yeah.
He needs help, man.
I don't think so.
Shut the fuck up.
If the Patriots weren't some butt ass shit, he would definitely have a lot of buzz for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Um.
Imagine him on Washington right now.
Yeah.
Good grief.
For the Cardinals, much needed win because this is what 3 losses in a row, I think, ever since they took the division lead.
Yeah. So now they're 7-7. So they're only a game behind the Seahawks and the Rams.
Yeah.
And they have the Rams left.
They
But they're
played
gonna
the
need some help
Panthers.
because they got swept by Seattle. So
They played a Panthers, Rams, and Niners, so they honestly have a chance to win 2 of those games, maybe even all 3.
Yeah.
well, they beat the Niners the first time. I give them all 3 because they
Gotta
beat
beat
the
the
shit
Rams,
out of the
yeah.
Rams the first time too,
Yeah.
back in week 2.
I think the only difference is
That's
the
right.
Rams feel very different than they did at the start of the year.
That is true.
Yeah, they've turned it around completely.
Yeah. So looking up in Arizona, for the Patriots. Actually, wait. Where are they in the the draft pick order. I was looking
I
at this
think-
on Tankathon the other day, and
I
it's
believe they're
absurd.
number 3 because they lost to both Jacksonville and Tennessee, so they have the tiebreakers over them. But they're behind the Raiders and the Giants.
We
So I
have
believe they're number 3.
7 teams. Almost a quarter of the league have 3 or fewer wins on the season.
Oh god.
Jesus,
9
fuck.
have 4 or fewer. there
There's
are
some
3.
shit from a butt this year.
There's
There
been
are
some
3.
gross football.
Yeah, 3 truly absurd losing streaks right now as well.
At least the Pats aren't one of those.
Yeah.
But they have lost 6 and 4 in a row so far. It's still not great.
Yeah, they are sitting 3rd in the draft order as we speak.
Travis Hunter, come on down. Newly anointed Heisman winner, Travis Hunter, come on down.
It's funny too because that's such a Bill Belichick pick, and then he's not going to be there to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, on to Cleveland. Hello, James Winston. Take a seat. Quite the fun run you guys have had so far, huh? Beating the Ravens and Steelers, impressive. Record-breaking night in a shootout loss against the Broncos. You didn't get the result you wanted, but hey, those kind of numbers are going to tantalize someone. Now, about Sunday. That won't fly against the Chiefs. In fact, you guys are going to start in a hole because you're going to muff the punt after a game-opening 3-and-out by the Chiefs and then immediately give up a touchdown. And it's not going to get better. It doesn't matter that your defense knocked Mahomes out of the game with an ankle injury because you're going to turn the ball over 4 times on your own. In fact, we're just going to let DTR take a swing at, and he threw a pick as well. Shit. Chiefs 21, Browns 7.
Yet, I was not expecting to see both Dorian Thompson-Robinson and Carson Wentz in this game, but yet we got both.
It's what you wanted. Yeah, this was the day that the fun Browns died. Somebody pointed out they're only fun in prime time because when they play on just like a Sunday afternoon, they go back to sucking.
That makes
Fucking
sense, now that
schedule
I
for
think
prime
about it.
time every week.
Something's gonna happen. Yeah, the big story coming out of this is Patrick Mahomes got fucking smashed. I don't know how he didn't like break his back with the hit where he
Or
fucked up
break
his
his ankle.
Yeah. So his status is still, I think, questionable. But luckily the Chiefs have a little bit of wiggle room for the number 1 seed. But this could be where things start coming unglued. But it is also the Chiefs. So fuck me, am I right? But
From what I've read, this injury doesn't seem as bad as previous ones. So it's
Yeah.
just going to be his yearly, oh, is he going to be hurt? No, he's not, even though he's going to look like he's hurt. Like when Ben Roethlisberger would blame every loss on his walking boot.
It's
the
like
same
how
shit.
every 49er game up until this year, like there's a play where Deebo Samuel looks dead. And then the next time you look up and he's running for 70 yards and you're like, what the fuck?
There have been 4 teams in the NFL this year that have not scored more than 30 points in a game. The 3-11 Patriots, the 2-12 Raiders, the 2-12 Giants, and the 13-1 Chiefs.
That is so stupid. Should also point out the
And
Browns
the
have
Jets
scored.
before this past weekend.
Yeah, the Browns have scored over 30 once this season. So
And naturally they lost.
yeah, good old Browns. Yeah, this game was just ugly. Jameis threw 3 picks. He fumbled it. They put in Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He threw an interception. He fumbled.
Yeah, this was bad.
Yeah.
And Nick Chubb fumbled before he went down as well. So it was just they were a turnover machine in this game.
Yep. Fun times.
6
in
turnovers
Cleveland.
compared to none for the Chiefs, and yeah, you're not going to win football doing that.
Also allowed 5 sacks. Yeah, and I mean the Chiefs again did not look impressive on offense, but you don't really need to at this point, especially when you're playing a team as dysfunctional as the Browns.
Yeah.
So is a result that I think everybody saw coming, and I don't really know if there's much more to say about it other than
think
There really isn't.
I figured
Browns
out
are
what the
terrible.
Chiefs are doing. They're
What are they
quiet quitting. They're playing minimum effort football just enough to win the game. so they don't have to do anything else.
You know, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Which is dumb too, because come playoff time, they're gonna, somehow remember how to do it instead of just
Yeah.
falling out of
No,
habit or whatever, and they're just
it's
gonna win
like-
the Super Bowl again.
It's like the South Park episode with the Little League Baseball, where they're mad when they win, and they're all just
Yeah.
fuming in the locker room right now, just trying to lose out at this point.
Patrick Mahomes, he really just wants to go home and
Yeah,
eat his French fries, and they just won't let him because they just keep fucking winning.
God.
Have you guys ever seen that video from a few years ago where it's his brother and his wife and they're filming some like obnoxious TikTok and he's like sitting at the bar next to him just like trying to eat French fries and he looks so fucking annoyed. It's one of my favorite videos.
God, I haven't heard from him in a while. How's he doing?
Yeah, what
Whatever happened to that?
yeah, what is Jackson Mahomes doing? Let's look this up. I don't know. I can't be. Oh wait. Oh god, this is from March. Hang on. Jackson Holmes, brother of Chiefs QB, sentenced to probation. Okay, that's what he's been doing.
Ah,
Oh god, he had felony charges that got dropped. Okay.
oh.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that's why we haven't heard from him in a while.
Not
That
only
might
the
just be
refs,
it.
but the judicial system
Yeah.
is for Mahomes.
Here's an article from
Chiefs bullshit behind the bench.
Thank you, Lord Mahomes.
an article from a month ago. Jackson Holmes triggers Chiefs fans' anger during emotional moment between Patrick and Brittany Mahomes. Well, all right. I can't
Sure.
be bothered to read more of this. Anyway,
Thank you, ChatGPT.
yeah.
Call me Peter Griffin, because who the hell cares?
Yeah, but I don't think we don't need to fucking spend any more energy on this game. So anyway,
Yeah, no.
On to New Jersey.
Before we do, quick shout out to Elijah Moore for having 2 receptions for -1 yard.
Fucking
Damn.
bongled me there.
Idiot.
How about that?
Yeah.
All right, now heading to New Jersey.
Ravens 35, Giants 14. Lamar is good. The New York Rangers have won more recently in MetLife than the New York Giants. The
I'm glad
Giants
you
have
brought
not
that
won
up.
at home this season, so you have to go to the year before when the Rangers played the Stadium Series and won.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to if you didn't.
Every time you do one of these intros where you start with the lopsided score, I always think that's just what it's gonna be. I'm like, is this my cue? Do I start now?
I want to expand on that stat though. The Rangers are also the most recent team to win at MetLife on a Sunday, because both of the Jets' home wins this year are on Thursday games.
What
Oh God!
So
There's only one team to talk about here, so
yeah. Well, my favorite part about this game is, did you guys see Lamar Jackson's like quote midweek when asked about like what he needs to do more or do better? And he just said like he's like, I need to run more. My mom's been telling me I need to run more. And apparently he listened.
Yeah. We also threw for
So-
5 fucking touchdowns because
Yeah.
he's good like that.
Yeah, that was it was funny because like on the week or the game preview for this on Heed the Call, they were talking about like, it's been kind of up and down for Lamar Jackson for the last month, and it was like, just go into New York and just crush the Giants and just be done with it. Let's not even worry about it. And that's what they did.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's all you need
And-
to do.
Yeah, and we got Tim Boyle appearance in this game because Tommy Cutlets got a concussion midway through the game.
I'm so mad that he needed one more receiving yard, and this would have been a perfect stat line.
The Giants
passing yard.
The Giants are now on their 4th string quarterback.
Oh god,
Just
they
One
are.
other thing about Tim Boyle as well. So for his, I believe, entire career, he has 5 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. He has never appeared in a game where he threw more touchdowns than picks. Like, every single game he's played in where he has thrown a touchdown, he has thrown greater to or equal than that picks.
How does he have a job?
I don't know, because he wasn't good in college either.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever looked at his college stats, they're just as bad, and somehow he's been just doing this for 6 years.
Yeah, every time I would see Noah Joyce, friend of the show, rant about him with the Lions for that season where he like started down the stretch for them. And I was like, I know he's not good, but why does Noah hate him so much? And then I looked up his college stats and I was like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
Yeah, going to UConn and Eastern Kentucky. Two noted football schools.
Yeah.
I feel like he's going to be one of those guys that he retires and becomes a coach and becomes a really damn good coach, and everybody just kind of forgets that he was one of the worst quarterbacks.
Yeah, maybe it's like the Jeff Francoeur like effect,
Yeah,
where everybody just really
Yeah.
likes him.
Yeah.
And so they
He's a
sign
chill
him.
guy.
Yeah, he's a real lunch pail kind of guy. And then Tommy DeVito gets hurt, and they're like, "Ah, fuck."
I also would like to bring up quickly the tiptoe catch in the back of the end zone by Tez Walker was fucking beautiful.
Oh yes,
Uh-huh.
His only catch of the game, and he made that shit count.
so good.
Actually,
Yeah,
I think that was his first career catch.
Oh fuck.
What?
Shades of oh my god, what was Percy Howard, I think is the guy's name. He was a Cowboys receiver who has one career reception, which was a touchdown in the Super Bowl in like 1973.
You know, that
That's
was
the
his
way to
first
do it, man.
target, first catch, and first touchdown. Good for
Make it
him.
count.
Yeah. Nick Westbrook Akine, but again.
Yeah. And also, shout out Justin Tucker, made all 5 of his extra points. So it's been a
Get
rough
right
stretch
game.
for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at him go.
Go beat the shit out of the Giants and move on. Just like
Yeah,
we're
this team
moving on.
sucks.
Yeah. Just like we're moving on to Denver.
The Colts rolled into Denver for a battle at Mile High. With so many turnovers, I let out a sigh. At certain points, it felt like watching a mess, with two teams figuring out who wanted to win less. Saved by 3 touchdowns from a guy named Bo, the Broncos reached the 9-win plateau as the Denver Broncos beat the Colts 31-13, and this game included one of the funniest pick sixes I've ever fucking seen.
I don't know if I saw that.
It was a flea flicker play where Anthony Richardson threw the ball. I don't know. I forget who he threw it to, but he threw whoever the receiver was tried to throw it back to Anthony Richardson, and Nick Benito on the Broncos just jumped it and picked it off and ran like 60 yards untouched to the end zone.
Oh,
Like
my
one of the
God.
easiest pick sixes ever.
Yeah, I mean that kind of sums up the Colts' offensive day in a nutshell, because it was again another game of Anthony Richardson cannot throw the football. Less than 50% completion percentage, 2 picks, no touchdowns. I've had my problems with the Colts, as we've talked about this season. And this was like a prime example of it, where it was like, this guy's not ready, but like he needs experience. But you know, Shane Steichen is trying to make the playoffs, and it wasn't working with Joe Flacco, and it's definitely not working with Anthony Richardson.
He's just not good, man.
Yeah, he might not be.
I think I'm ready to say that. He's just not good. I think he could, the way he does the running back sort of thing in the red zone, I think is useful. I think he could be like a Taysom Hill or Justin Fields kind of guy, but he's not a quarterback. It's time to go get a normal quarterback.
I haven't heard anybody make this reference yet, and I'm going to say that I'm the first. He reminds me of Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
You know, they win a lot of games because he's just a great athlete, but he's just not a refined passer.
Yeah.
Something
and
about
I mean, the
Florida
fact
quarterbacks.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he's as big as he is why he's such a red zone threat. and again, he's a second-year player who's essentially a first-year player because he didn't finish, I don't think, a single game of his rookie year without getting hurt, and he only played like 5 games. Um, but it is still concerning that it's like you're in year 2 and he can't complete a pass downfield, it seems. Like even at this point in his career, like Josh Allen had his downfield accuracy issues, but the the Bills were on their way to the playoffs and Josh Allen was still playing at a really high level despite that. Um so I'm concerned. I was surprised when the Colts took him as high as they did because even as somebody who doesn't follow college very closely, like I followed the run up to that draft very closely, and like every single pundit I heard talk about Anthony Richardson was like tons of natural talent, should not be taken in the top 10 because he's not ready, and the Colts have been rolling him out since day one, like one. So I don't know what the answer is.
Didn't help that they were rolling out Sam Ellinger instead of him last year. Like there really wasn't a better option than that. That they like. I think if that was the plan, they really didn't prepare that well for it.
Yeah.
Because like I understand completely the strategy of having a top pick sit behind a guy to learn, but I just don't think he was going to learn a whole lot sitting behind Sam Ellinger of all people.
With some of the quarterbacks hitting the market this offseason, I think the Colts they shouldn't get a Joe Flacco kind of guy that's an emergency quarterback. They need to get a quarterback and let AR sit behind him. You can roll him out for garbage time or for gadget plays or whatever you need to do, but you need to have a main quarterback to rely on. I don't think he's QB1 material.
Yeah, I'm just I'm concerned. That's just the best way to put it in my eyes. Yeah, it's tough. And on the Broncos, like not a great game by Bo Nix either, but they exploded in the fourth quarter and just really put this game to bed because despite all of these struggles, they were up 13-10 going into the fourth quarter. And I just now saw that pick six, and that is really what broke their backs.
It was still a one possession game when that happened, and it was technically a fumble because it was a lateral pass, but still, like doing a play like that with a rookie too, because it was Adonai Mitchell that threw the ball, and like doing a play like that with an inexperienced player in a situation like that is just not smart football.
You can watch Benito get the jump on the ball before he even throws it. Like they knew they were going to play that, and as soon as they saw that, they called it.
He read it perfectly.
And it was just the easiest six of their life.
It reminds me of have you ever seen the infamous rocket screenplay in the Redskins Raiders Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Where Jack Squirek reads fucking Joe Theismann like a book and is basically just like, "Oh, here, don't mind if I do." It looks exactly like that. It's so good. Yeah, so I think this is probably the final nail in the coffin of the Colts season.
Yep, it's over.
I mean, they've been the one team keeping the playoff picture like really interesting, and now it seems like they're pretty done. So,
and now that the division's wrapped up, it's yeah.
I mean, that said, they're chasing the Chargers, who we all know they could collapse at any moment because Chargers be chargering. But
see, also this weekend.
Yeah. More on that later. For now, though, let's go to a much less meaningful game in Jacksonville. In a game of truly zero playoff implications, the Jets and Jaguars did battle in Duval. Two teams now infamous for blowing one-score games took turns trying to hand the other the game until Davante Adams decided to take control with 198 yards and 2 touchdowns, all in the second half. Despite a missed field goal and some completely botched clock management on their final drive, Mac Jones decided to call game on his own team with a game-ending interception to last year's sack tap victim Sauce Gardner. Against their best efforts, Jets win 32-25.
Yet, Mac Jones, before that last pick, had a genuinely pretty good game going.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, damn, all right.
I want to say it was a friend of the program, Cam. Somebody had said that last drive was going to end in a Mac Jones pick, and then the fucking belly laugh that escaped him when that pick happened was generational.
It was like before that, I was getting ready to type out the message Jets are selling because
Boy,
their
did they
last...
try.
Yeah, so we got to talk about the last drive. Mark Schlereth was pissed in the booth because Aaron Rodgers on 3rd and 5 completes a 41-yard pass to Devontae Adams
Oh
to
my
get them down to the
God.
goal line. Just awesome play. And now they have the ball. The Jags have all 3 timeouts, or no, I think 2 of their timeouts, and it's 1st and 1. Okay, so strategy says you kneel 3 times and you run the you make them chew up their timeouts. You kick a field goal, and you give the Jags the ball back with like 20 seconds left. Sure, they were a little nervous because Anders Carlson missed a field goal. And it was pretty short too, if I recall correctly. 2 drives before that.
It's from 48.
Okay, 48. Okay, it wasn't too short, but still, it was a chip shot, you know? And instead, on 1st down, Breece Hall takes it, and the Jags defense literally just gets out of the way and lets him score. Like, if you go back and watch that play again, half the defensive line is just standing upright watching Breece Hall run in.
Honestly,
And
it looked like too on the Devontae Adams play. It looked like when he went down at the one that he went down on purpose to not go into the end zone.
Yeah. And Chris Myers and Mark Schlereth in the booth were both like, "What are you doing?" And Schlereth was straight up saying, he was like, "These are the same mistakes that this team makes every single week, and they're doing it again." But then luckily, it was Mac Jones who threw it right back to Sauce Gardner, which, as I pointed out and had been reminded me, I forgot that Mac sack tapped him last year in one of their games. So Sauce made a comment that he was like, "Yeah, it was pretty good to get that one on it."
This is just a rerun of Todd Gurley accidentally scoring on the Falcons a few years ago. It's just it ended the right way this time.
Yeah, it didn't come back to haunt them unlike that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the second straight week of an absolutely who fucking cares game involving the Jaguars. But this one was way more entertaining than the one last week.
Yeah. I believe also this is only the second time the Jets have scored over 30, if I recall correctly.
No, this was their first time scoring 30 all year. They were part of the no 30 club until this past weekend.
It is so dumb. Oh
yeah.
God. So I mean this year, this is the kind of win too that's gonna like lure Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers to try coming back for another year because their connection still works.
Speaking of that, did you see the shit that Aaron Rodgers said on the Pat McAfee show yesterday?
I did not. Uh-oh.
It was basically like a 3-minute long rant about vaccination status.
Directed at Ryan Clark.
Yeah, it was at Ryan Clark. It was just, what the fuck am I listening to?
The same Ryan Clark that almost died after playing in Denver.
Bruh.
Talking about vaccination status in big 2024. Be so serious.
Fuck that motherfucker.
Just who cares?
Yeah,
like they bring him on the show to talk about football, and it's like, who the fuck cares about that?
Find a new slant, man.
Like, I'm not tuning into the Pat McAfee show to talk about whether I should get the jab or not.
The woke jab.
I'm tuning in because I want to hear him talk about fucking football.
Pfizer's gonna force feminize you.
Promise?
Remember, they're still gonna make Travis Kelce get the jab at midfield at the Super Bowl. And then he's gonna propose to Taylor Swift.
The Taylor Swift halftime show presented by Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah, wait, that's how the Hallmark movie's gonna end.
Oh, fuck.
Everybody getting their vaccinations at the 50-yard line after winning the Super Bowl.
Just like how Aaron Rodgers and the Jets have been vaccinated against the playoffs.
They're immune. Yep, immunized. It just reminds me of when Dean Thompson was bitching about the opening ceremonies from the Olympics this year, and it was like, why does anybody care, or why does anybody think that the most useless drivers and athletes matter? Like what their opinions mean? Like who gives a fuck? Aaron, you're 4-10. Why don't you try winning a fucking football game before you tell me what to do with my body?
Well, he
Those
did
40s,
the winning
man.
a football game part.
Go
Yeah.
pay your fucking mortgage.
God. Also, big shout out. The Jags wore their throwbacks and lost, so there goes that theory.
Well, should
They
still
should
bring him
still-
back.
Yes, they
This-
should. Their current look sucks.
Yeah. This game made me realize, though, that I'm really going to miss Doug Peterson on the sidelines, because I've always liked Doug Peterson, but just like from an aesthetic standpoint, because he was wearing the like throwback Jags windbreaker for this game and it looked fucking sick. And then he's also got his, the visor with his fucking silver hair like sticking straight up out of it. And I'm like, man, I'm going to miss this guy with like his
Football
grandpa glasses on.
The football version of James May.
Yeah, he really
Pretty
is.
much.
He's just cozy. It's nice to have around. So anyway, who cares about this game? On to New Orleans.
Down in the Big Easy, the referees steal the show. With just seconds left in the game, Foster Moreau gets stuffed on the goal line. As he goes down, side judge Jim Quirk makes a clutch play, taking control of the ball, stopping the clock, and allowing the Saints to spike it for one more shot at the end zone. And it almost worked. Spencer Rattler once again finds Moreau for 6, but the game-winning 2-point conversion falls incomplete, and the Commanders knock off the Zebras, 20-19.
Yeah, how did that happen?
So
It's big 2024, and we're still letting shit like this happen.
here's the best part. That wasn't even the only time they fucked up the clock.
Uh-huh.
End of the third quarter. And big shout out to the Rizzler, because that dude was fucking plugged in. His game management on their final couple drives, fucking incredible. But it's the end of the third quarter, and the commies are lining up to kick a field goal, and he's yelling at the official like, the quarter's going to end, and they let the clock run all the way down to 0 and then let the field goal attempt happen, and he misses it. And then they go, oh, wait, sorry, we screwed that up. Actually, it's the end of the quarter. And then they lined him back up on the other side and let Greg Joseph kick again, and he made it. And it was like, it's like, what the fuck? So yeah, that was majorly botched. And then, like you mentioned, that also Steven points off for not using my Jake Hayner serving punt line in your intro.
I was going to bring that up. I hate you. Serving. Ugh.
I do want to talk about that real quick.
Just imagining playing football in high heels with a giant boa around your neck or something.
Dude,
I think this has potential.
the picture that they used to announce
better
that he
than
was
Tim Boyle.
starting was, everybody was like on Twitter was talking about how like queer he looks in that picture. So I appreciate that
Good
we have a
for-
yassified quarterback.
Good for her.
Yeah. But yeah, the ending of this game, the way the officials handled it is just like inexplicable. And then you
Actually,
have
if the Saints had won.
Yeah. They thankfully avoided disaster by the commies winning, but it could have been so bad.
I
That
don't
felt
know
like
what
a-
to say, man.
It felt like a ball don't lie moment on the conversion attempt.
Yeah, it really
Uh,
did.
But also shout out the commies for having not one, but 2 different players having a single reception for 0 yards. And then also Jaden
Efficiency.
Daniels recording more rushing yards than Brian Robinson with half the rushing attempts.
Oh my god. Yeah, you're right. Didn't even notice that.
But at the end of the
Um,
day, they locked out the W, and that's all that matters because they desperately needed it with where they are in the playoff race.
Yeah. Also, did Hayner get hurt or did he get pulled?
He was benched.
Okay. So he started.
Yeah.
He attempted 10 passes, completed 4 of them through an interception, and then they were like, "Yeah, no, put Rattler back in." Never mind.
Yeah. And like Spencer Rattler wasn't great. It was just enough to get them back into the game and to give them a chance to win, even though the Zebras aided in that process.
Yeah. Yeah, so there was people were pointing out, or I think it was Connor Orr pointed out in their review of the game, like the way that Darren Rizzi called the end of this game, where he basically used, I think, all of his timeouts before the 2-minute warning. So the 2-minute warning ended up as his last timeout right before they got the ball back, and then basically got all the way down the field by running, because they had basically set it up to where the commies were like, okay, they're just going to be thrown to the sidelines because they have no timeouts, and then they just ran it up the gut every single play and got all the way down the field, and were that close to pulling off the win until the missed a 2-point conversion at the end of this game. Dude might be playing himself into the actual starting or actual head coaching gig.
I was just about to say, proceed with caution though, because not working great with Antonio Pierce right now.
I mean, he's not bad. It's just it's a risk.
Yeah.
It also doesn't help that this roster is about the same amount of holes as a slice of Swiss cheese, so kind of have to play both of those pretty well at the same time. Like, I think that could work if they can improve their roster needs along with it, but we'll see what they do.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
Not really.
And football.
Commies sit at 9.
Cedric Wilson Jr. had a perfect passer rating in this game.
Let's go.
1 attempt, 1 completion, 21-yard touchdown.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Gold jacket.
He was also targeted 1 time and did not catch it.
Oh. Well, there's your answer. He should be starting. Sorry, Spencer. Commies now sit at 9-5. They have a 94% chance of making the playoffs at this point, even though they're the 7th seed. I'm pretty sure they have a win and in scenario. We can do some playoff clinching scenarios after all the game recaps. Yeah, and the Saints, I think, are still technically alive. Are they?
I believe they are.
Yes,
for the division.
Yeah, currently they're 5-9, but less than a 1% chance of making the playoffs. So you're saying there's a chance. Anyway, on to Tennessee. This offseason, Joe Burrow now infamously said, "Our Super Bowl window is my whole career." Oh, it's way too quiet. You can hear it. You sure about that? 3 turnovers from Burrow matched his 3 scores through the air on a bad day for the Bengals offense. Luckily, though, they were playing the Titans, and the return of Will Levis weekly means. The Mayo Man turned it over 4 times on his own, including 3 picks and 4 pass attempts. It was promptly sent to the bench. Much like St. Nick, the Titans found themselves calling to Rudolph to guide them just in time for the holidays. A pair of fourth-quarter scores made the score prettier, but it was another ugly loss for the squad from Nashville, and the Will Levis era might be over.
He was dreadful in this game.
It was bad. Got another good shot of him getting run over by somebody, so that'll be in the thumbnail.
Shout out to Tavondre Sweat recovering the fumble by the Bengals and stiff-arming the fuck out of their lineman while he was running back down the field with it.
Yeah.
Put that guy in the dirt.
Gotta
that
mention,
was nasty.
Oh yeah, also, we forgot this in the Colts game. Jonathan Taylor dropped the ball at the 1-yard line celebrating too early.
That's right, he did.
Somebody else did that too this weekend. I can't remember who it was. But then you had the Bengals.
It was the Bengals guy in this game.
Well, no, there was another one, because the Bengals guy just flat out dropped it. Somebody else dropped it at the one celebrating too early. I can't remember who it was. Happened 3 times this weekend.
When will they learn?
Yeah, hold on to the goddamn football. To quote John Heisman, better to die as a young boy than to drop this football.
That's a fucking banger quote.
That's a bar.
Yeah, they get an interception. They could have had 2 pick sixes, and instead he was like trying to switch which hand he was carrying the ball in, and literally just dropped it. So
I would like to read off the Titans drive summary really quick.
Okay.
So they Bengals started with the ball. They went 3 and out. Titans got the ball. Touchdown. touchdown, fumble, interception, interception, punt, interception, fumble, interception, touchdown, touchdown to end the game.
Bruh.
Yet,
Oh my
bookending
God.
the game with 2 touchdown drives at the beginning and 2 touchdown drives at the end, you'd think that that would be a recipe for winning. The problem is that everything in the middle was dog dayla shit.
Oh man. Yeah, this was probably the ugliest game of the the at least the last month, if not
I was
the
about to say
season.
there was the Lions game.
Yeah, that is true.
I'd argue the Washington game was worse too.
Oh god, that is right. Yeah.
That one was pretty bad.
Um
Yet the Bengals tried not to win this game
they
quite a few times.
yeah, like I was mentioning, it was a very bad day for their offense. I believe, yeah, 5 turnovers, 4 of them by Burrow, including a fumble.
Yet there were 10 turnovers combined in this game, and the Titans ended up with more yards than the Bengals did.
Yeah, that is also the most combined turnovers in a game since 2007. These two teams also combined for 223 penalty yards.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean the Bengals are still hanging around at 6-8, but they have
They're not doing shit if they keep playing like this, though. The only reason why they got away with it is because of who they were playing against.
yeah, they have essentially zero chance of making the playoffs. If the Chargers win, I believe that eliminates them. Because didn't the Chargers beat them earlier this year?
Yes, they did.
Yeah. So
Yes.
if the
If
Chargers,
the Chargers win, them and the Colts are both done.
yeah. So
And the
Couple plane-
Dolphins.
As John McKay once said, a couple plane crashes, they're right back in it.
Yeah. No lie was told.
God. Yeah, and like I mentioned, Mason Rudolph actually did play pretty well.
Yeah.
It just did not matter.
Just too little too late.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts on this game?
Not really.
Nah.
I mean,
All right.
the Titans, do we have to?
Yeah. Please don't make me talk about the Titans.
Oh, well, actually, one more thing. Brian Callahan lost the revenge game. There you go.
Yeah. On to Philadelphia.
Rachel Carson, Roberto Clemente, Andy Warhol. What do these names have in common? They're all names of bridges that I contemplated jumping off of after the Steelers got their shit absolutely kicked in by the Philadelphia Eagles, 27-13. The Steelers kept up with Philly in the first half, forcing fumbles and back-to-back drives, keeping the game within a score at the half. Unfortunately, another back-breaking fumble by Najee Harris turned the game back on its head, and the Eagles pushed their way down the field for a lead they'd never relinquish. Disappointed, but not surprised.
Would you like to guess how many times the Steelers had the ball in the second half of this game?
I don't want to talk about it.
So for those listening, the answer to that question was 2. They had the ball twice in the entire second half, and the last time that happened was 2009.
The Eagles' last drive is fucking stupid.
21 plays, 88 yards, 10 minutes and 29 seconds to end in a kneel out.
And
I
they
don't
didn't
want
even
to talk
score.
about it.
Like, the fact that the Steelers punted the ball away with 10 and a half minutes left, down 14, thinking, oh, maybe we could have a chance if we get a stop. And they never got the ball back.
So
This was ugly.
But the
I was
two
gonna
before that, too, 13 plays, 7 minutes, 13 plays, 6.5 minutes, 21 plays, 10.5. Like, that is as good of a ball management as I've ever seen, maybe besides, like, Army.
yeah, I mean, this was an ugly offensive day. Wilson was not very effective through the air. They could not run the ball. They only had like 56 rushing yards. I believe it was who's their top receiver? George Pickens was out
Pickens
for this
is
game.
He was out again.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I gotta imagine the whole Pennsylvania rivalry probably doesn't make this loss feel much better.
Yeah,
Where does this rivalry rank amongst them?
it's
'Cause
the last one because it's
I was
interconference.
I was
They
gonna say,
only
okay,
play
so
once every 4 years.
Pennsylvania sports rivalries. I want you to rank these. Okay, so we've got Steelers Eagles, we've got Penguins Flyers,
That's
we've
the
got
highest one.
Pirates Phillies, and Sheets Wawa.
Well, actually, I think in today's climate, it Sheets Wawa is the number one rival. Then Pirates or Penguins Flyers, and then Pirates Phillies.
Yeah.
There's actual governmental diplomatic relations in the Sheets Wawa War.
That is insane.
John Fetterman has publicly promoted Sheets. So wherever you stand on that, just think about that.
I'm sure that didn't upset Philadelphia at all. Oh man.
Great game from Jalen Hurts. It's been a hot minute since he's had one.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
This one was
Turns
really
out,
good.
if you spend the entire week defending solely against Saquon Barkley, they kind of have wide receivers too.
Yeah.
They just let
Yeah,
AJ Brown run over them.
As it
And
turns
Devonta
out,
Smith,
AJ
both
Brown
of
was
them.
right. They did need to pass better, and they did.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, him and Devonta Smith both over 100 yards in a score apiece, and Hurts stole another touchdown at the goal line from Saquon, because of course he did. Yeah, kind of an off game for Saquon compared to what he's done over the course of the year, but I guess it doesn't matter when you have that many other pieces that can pick up the slack and do the same thing.
I will say, by the end of the game, the Steelers figured out how to stop the tush push. It was basically the football equivalent of throwing a concrete wall at a moving train. They put everybody in the box, and they just turned it into mush.
I genuinely don't understand why more teams don't try that. Right?
It looks
It
like an
hurts.
Army-Navy play. It really
Yeah,
did.
I mean it hurts, but like the Bucks put that on paper last year against them on how to stop them because they did it twice in their playoff game. One of which where I can't remember which linebacker it was, just jumped over the pile and got Jalen Hurts in a headlock and brought him to the ground. Like
That's what I'm
you
saying.
just gotta put
fucking
everybody
hit
on.
him.
Yeah. So, yeah. The Steelers did clinch their playoff spot though.
No boy.
Hey, at least you're there.
Yeah.
Well, can't wait to not win another playoff game.
Okay. Well, I don't know. At this rate, they're probably going to be playing like the Chargers, and we know the Chargers don't win big games. So
no. The Steelers don't win playoff games.
well.
I refuse to believe it until the game is actually over. And even then, I might not still believe it because NASA hacked my eyes.
I don't know why, but that just made me think of
Oh, you think I'm kidding?
a Beef Boys joke that I always talk about, where it's this guy who was like, "You're a star child. The Wizards are the cops." Steven after a Steelers playoff win. Anyway, shall we move on to Detroit?
Please.
Yeah. A titanic clash took place between two of the league's best, with one hitting their stride and one needing bubble wrap vests. Despite being short-handed, the Lions kept it close, but Josh Allen gave them hell, and it was a heavy dose. For the boys from Detroit, it's all hands on deck, as the Eagles and Vikings are now breathing down their necks, as the Bills, for the second week in a row, are involved in a shootout, but this time they are on the right side of it, as they win a scoregami score of 48-42 over the Lions, who have now lost a game in which Jared Goff has thrown for 5 touchdowns and won a game in which he threw for 5 picks.
I mean, that right there, that's your strategy, right? You're throwing it to the wrong team, Jared.
Well, we did get
I
a
want-
Dan Skipper touchdown, though, in this game.
I was just about to
so
say that.
He finally
We
got his come up from the Cowboys game last year.
Hell yeah.
We also had a Tim Patrick touchdown in the second quarter.
Yeah,
Huge.
this one was... Oh, go ahead.
Huge game by Amon-Ra St. Brown, 193 yards, 14 receptions. Just
God.
absurd numbers.
Laporta had 100 yards, too. Jahmyr Gibbs had almost 100 receiving yards.
Also, big
Yeah.
shout out to the Bills' leading receiver Ty Johnson. Who the fuck is that?
I
He's
Johnson
Sure, man.
is a 6th-year running back from Maryland. Ironically enough, he was selected by the Lions.
Oh, it was the Ty Johnson revenge game. We didn't see this one coming.
Yeah,
Oh, jeez.
That's on us.
Yeah.
yeah, this
It's
was
on
a
Ty
bizarre
Johnson.
game.
Yeah.
It was all Bills for a while, and then the Lions said, "Oh yeah, we're like good," and made it interesting, but just not enough.
Yeah, there was a misguided onside attempt with about 10 minutes left, which again is the situation where the biggest problem is it didn't work because Jake Bates almost got the onside kick when he fucking trucked the Bills player who was receiving the kick. And the problem was they ended up taking it all the way down to like the 5-yard line. So not only did they not recover the onside kick, they immediately gave up a score.
He had a rare miss in this game too, in the second
Yeah.
quarter, which ironically was preceded by a Tyler Bass missed field goal too,
Yeah.
which by the way was from 24 yards.
Yeah, that was one of the more bizarre misses we've seen this season. So somebody else missed like a 22-yarder this season. I know that.
That would be Joey Sly missing from 25 against the Rams a few weeks ago.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big story coming out of this game though is just more Lions injuries. They lost David Montgomery for the season. Actually,
wasn't the
we have an
only
entire section on Lions injuries, but I do want to talk about there was a radio interview that Dan Campbell did this week that I was just like straight goosebumping listening to, where it was like the whole next man up speech, and I was like, yeah, I'm concerned obviously for the injuries, and I think a big part of it is, last year they were basically scheming around their defensive deficiencies, and this year they have a great defense and they play really aggressive, and the Bills took advantage of it. So I think we might see like offensive or a defensive schematic change in the next few weeks for the Lions to try to shift back into, okay, give up yards, but just don't give up the home run plays. But I mean, I feel like if any coach is going to have his guys ready for next man up, it's going to be Dan Campbell's Lions.
I would run through a brick wall for Dan Campbell.
Yeah. I'm not panicking, but I am concerned. So.
Yeah, just who needs defense when you have a fuck ton of offense? Because there was 1,081 combined yards in this game.
Just absurd numbers.
Yet, over the last 2 games, the Bills have scored 90 points and they've given up 86.
Good God. And if you're the Bills, I mean, you got to look at it. There's 2 teams, you gave the Chiefs their only loss. You gave the Lions one of their only 2. Bills are coming out of this like an absolute juggernaut as well.
Yeah, and look who they're playing 2 of the next 3 weeks.
That happened to be, it's the New England Patriots and the New York Jets and the New England Patriots again.
They are going to get fucking murked on Saturday, and I'm not looking forward to it at all.
I am.
Shut up!
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Any other thoughts on this game?
Hell of a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Football's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, shout out to the Lions for even making it close, because this was 35-14 at one point and 45-28 in the fourth, and to even get it to within 6 was pretty damn impressive.
Yep.
Because they could have just given up and laid down and said, "All right, fuck this, we're done here." But they tried. There was an effort put forward, just not enough.
Yeah. Only other one team has beat the Lions this year, and that was the Tampa Bay Bucks, and they faced off against the Los Angeles Chargers. Bucks, bolts, two teams hanging around the playoff picture, perplexing analysts and fans alike. Are they real contenders, or are they just filling out spots on a graphic? After a tight first half, the Buccaneers answered that question as these scarlet-clad swashbucklers pillaged and plundered the overmatched landlubbers from Los Angeles. While Tampa racked up 27 more points, never being stopped in the second half, the Chargers did the opposite with a disastrous second half that saw them held scoreless. These Pirates have no need for your newfangled electricity. Bucks 40, Chargers 17.
Yeah, this got out of hand quick.
Yeah, they went into half down 17-13, and I was like, come on, Baker, like, step it up. Had a pick in the first half, and I was like, what is going on? And then I looked up the score again like an hour later, and I was like, buh? Excuse me?
Yeah, Baker's 14 picks this year aren't great, but the 32 passing touchdowns, pretty good.
Yeah, there was a stretch in the second half of drives by the Chargers that are just disastrous because you have a second down interception, and then on the next drive, a turnover on downs when they went for it on the Tampa 34, and then another turnover on downs when they went for it at the Tampa 49. And then they fumbled on the first play of their next drive. Like, up until that was a close game. And then it all fell apart.
Yeah, when that pick happened, that was it.
Yeah. Also, the 50-yard touchdown that Baker Mayfield threw to Mike Evans. Holy shit!
Oh my
what a throw.
god, man!
Ridiculous.
Like, there are some times where I feel like a lot of people forget just how much arm talent Baker Mayfield has, because there is that inconsistency. There are the turnovers. He's got a little Brett Favre in him, minus the tax evasion.
So far.
Or not tax evasion, welfare abuse. We'll see. He already had all of his money stolen by his parents, so maybe he's on the other end of it. But like, he's gonna gamble. He's gonna fucking chuck it up, and you're gonna get some awesome plays, and then you're gonna get some interceptions that are like, dude, come on. So, and on the Charger side of the ball, like, Justin Herbert was very clearly laboring from last week. Took a pretty big hit to, I think it was his knee, or no, it was his ankle. And he just seemed like he was running for his life all day. And the problem was he couldn't really run. And that really hampered this Chargers offense, which had been pretty hot recently.
Yet, and a rather shocking performance for them on defense too, because this has been one of the best defensive units of the year. And this was, I mean, obviously the Bucs offense has been good, but this is a rather, again, shocking performance from what has been, again, the best unit top to bottom over the whole year. And to give up 40 points like that is a little concerning, because this is also their third loss in their last 4 games, and they've got the Broncos coming up next.
Before Sunday, the most points they'd given up in a game was 30, and now they're north of 40.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
It could get ugly.
I mean, they've got 2 very winnable, despite them being road games, to end the year, but that Denver game could be very, very interesting first. That's going to determine who finishes second of the Chiefs and gets the higher wildcard spot.
Basically determining who has to go to Buffalo.
Pretty much.
So, what happens if they tie? Like the Chargers-Raiders game a couple years ago.
The problem, they play twice.
Shit.
So
okay.
The Chargers won the first game.
Okay.
But the Broncos have a game in hand right now, so
yeah.
We can make this work.
And with this win, the Bucs still holding on to a 1-game lead for the NFC South. At this point, they fully control their own destiny. And if the Commies slip up, all of a sudden they can still get in through the wild card because they beat the Commanders in week 1. So, I mean, just like last year, the Bucs went from a point where they were 3 games under 500 to everybody look the fuck out. They might be, along with the Rams, might be the patented you don't want to face this team in January, because if this is what they can do, just watch out.
Good God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Both teams now sitting at 8-6. And then we wrap up Sunday with a classic rivalry matchup in Seattle. There's been no shortage of high-stakes matchups between the Seahawks and Packers in the 21st century. The infamous Matt Hasselbeck called shot game, the Fail Mary, the 2014 NFC Championship game, all historic games that ended in walk-off scores. That didn't happen on Sunday. As these two teams fight for playoff seeding, Seattle's took a major blow when an already bad night got worse when Geno Smith left with an ankle injury in the third quarter. Sam Howell added just 24 yards through the air as the Packers defense racked up 7 sacks as they inch up closer to clinching their spot in the 2024 postseason. Geno's season might have ended early this year. Packers 30, Seahawks 13.
This was ugly.
Yeah.
Shame.
When Geno left the game, I sent a message to one of my friends who's a Packers fan, and I believe it was, quote, "Life isn't worth living." So, our boy. Yeah, I mean, even before that, this game was ugly. They were down, I think, what was it, 23-6 at that point. So the Seahawks offensive line just could not protect either quarterback who was in there. They didn't get much help on the ground. Zach Charbonnet did as much as he could, but it just wasn't happening. And it's been one of those things where, despite the recent momentum the Seahawks have had, I think a lot of people have been kind of sheepish on them. And then this was the game where it was like, yeah, they're not really contenders. The Packers are.
Definitely.
The Seahawks are not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Seahawks have the Vikings this week and the Rams in Week 18 too, so it's gonna be tough for them to make it in at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely an uphill battle for them right now.
This is a rebuilding team that's ahead of schedule
100%. Yeah,
in a very weak division.
Should also point out those 7 sacks that Green Bay had. The first 5 of them were without blitzing a single time.
Jesus.
Yeah. So it's always good when you can get a lot of pressure without blitzing. And the Packers just keep finding ways.
Good game from Jordan Love too, and
yeah,
a bounce back game for Romeo Doubs too, hauling in both of those touchdowns.
Yeah, that last one, that catch was absurd.
Yeah, it's still, I still can't believe this team is 10-4 and they're third in their division. I think they'd be leading every other division except for like the NFC East and the AFC West.
Let's see. Let's look at this playoff standings right now. So the Packers right now at 10-4 would be tied with the Steelers in the AFC North, would be leading the AFC South. And they would be
second in the East to Buffalo and second in the West to the Chiefs.
Yeah, and leading both the NFC South and West. So, hard times.
And then there's the Bears.
Eating glue in the corner.
Speaking of the Bears, shall we head there for the first of 2 truly butt-ass shit Monday night games?
Before you play the music, I just want to make a quick side note. Can we cut the shit with multiple Monday games? I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes away from the aura and the vibe and the specialness of Monday games to have 2 of them. It sucks. It's awful. Please stop doing that. Signed, everybody.
Well, in this one, you get a great example of the prisoner's dilemma because they both blew ass. So, anyway, on to Minnesota.
And yet another Monday night shitfest. The Vikings clean out the Bears 30-12. Aaron Jones, Cam Akers, and Justin Jefferson all find the end zone for Minnesota, despite a subpar game from God Emperor Sam Darnold. Caleb Williams is left running for his life, and despite some flashes of brilliance, it's starting to look like the first overall pick might not have what it takes. Sorry, Chicago, maybe the 4th time is the charm. Just make sure you fire your coach before the draft this year.
Well, they did.
Do it again.
Yeah, so
just to be sure, it's like shutting off your computer and turning off the power, and then turn it back on. They just need to clean everything out.
This is the 8th loss in a row for the Bears, and they are 0-7 on the road.
So I know why he was fired, and we advocated for it, and obviously he needed to go. But it's offensive performances like the last week where you're like, shit, maybe they shouldn't have fired Eberflus yet, because like their defense was at least still pretty good under him, and like they had a guy who started the season as a wide receivers coach who then got promoted to interim offensive coordinator, and it was kind of working, and they're like, okay, cool, now you just run the whole team, and good god is he out of his depth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Matt Eberflus's last 3 games before being fired were a 1-point loss at home, a 3-point loss at home, and a 3-point loss on the road, all to divisional rivals that have 10 or more wins that are going to make the playoffs. And then they lost by 25 to a team that's 6-8. And then they lost by 18 to a team that's going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh, it got
there's
ugly quick.
a couple things where it was just clear how poorly run this team is right now. You had Doug Kramer lining up at fullback, and he doesn't report as eligible, and it takes a fucking touchdown off the board. And
That was so infuriating.
not only does Kramer look like he doesn't know he's supposed to report as eligible, he doesn't even look like he knows what he's doing. Like, it looks like something they just kind of made up on the spot. And we're like, yeah, just go line up at fullback.
Yeah, he didn't even have an effect on the play. If anything,
Yeah.
it took away an extra blocker that, like, it didn't matter because he got into the end zone, but, like, that was an extra blocker they could have had for Swift to go in, and they just didn't.
Yeah.
It was just
And
by
so-
dumb luck that it worked, and even dumber luck that there was a penalty because he didn't fucking report at all.
Yeah, and so that takes a touchdown off the board. That results in a field goal. Later in the game, you have, they get down into like field goal range, or like I think it was into the red zone. And they have back-to-back penalties that push them way back. And then on third down, Caleb Williams just has to like fucking scramble and chuck the ball up into the air and gets fucking drilled midair.
Oh,
And then you have, I want to point out, he's the first overall pick in the draft, right? This is a guy that the Bears are staking their entire future on, and he gets fucking clobbered, and he's on the bench on the sideline, like literally keeled over in pain, and there is not a single goddamn medical staff person looking at him. Like, nobody came over to say, like, oh, do you need water? Do you need anything? Like, they're just, it's like shades of the Adam Gase Jets where Sam Darnold is just sitting on the bench by himself because they couldn't be fucked to or hire a quarterback's coach. Like, it's just absurd. And then on the next drive, Tyreek Stevenson has a PI in the end zone that puts the Vikings down on the 1 on the same play that Montez Sweat like late hits Darnold. And then on the very next play, Tyreek Stevenson gives up a fucking touchdown. Like, just
and all of this,
just so poorly coached and so poorly run.
it was so funny that it was Tyreek Stevens, though, because this entire thing started because of when he was jawing at the fans during the Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Just keeps getting worse.
There was a midweek quote that Troy Aikman shared when he interviewed Caleb Williams. And this is just one of the most damning things and just shows like where this dude's head is at. Because there was, Steven, I think you were the one who posted the quote by him where he was talking about, he's like, I've never been part of something like this. And yeah, here it is.
Oh, the thing with him losing?
This is my first time being part of something like this, of losing and this streak going. So I ask questions to the guys that may have lost a bunch of games in a row like this or had losing seasons. I ask them questions because the more knowledge that I have prepares me for the future if this ever comes close to something like this again, which is just like, Jesus Christ. Like, obviously,
good on him though for like trying to mentally prepare himself to like better handle it in the future, but like it shouldn't ever get to that point either.
Yeah. But then you have Troy Aikman interviewing him, and he asks him how he feels, and Caleb Williams says, I am healthy, but I am fatigued. It's like, Jesus Christ. Get somebody fucking help this guy out.
They should just, maybe hot take, they should just bench him for the year.
I mean, at this point,
for
I kinda
Tyson
agree.
Bagent?
I mean, it's not like they're going to win games with him in there.
Point?
That's true.
He's getting the shit beat out of him week after week. It's like, what are you going to learn at this point?
Yeah.
Like, protect him long term now.
Honestly, it's just
I wouldn't hate if the Patriots took Drake May out for the rest of the year at this point for the same reason. He's fun to watch, but like this team just blows. Protect your franchise guy and just throw another guy to the wolves.
Steven, what
Like,
were
do
you
they
gonna
need
say?
the reps? Yeah. Do they need the experience? Yeah. Do you want to keep risking them getting hurt when your season's lost? I don't know.
That's just kind of what I'm talking about, is tearing this whole thing down to the studs. And knowing the Bears, they're going to find some retread coach and bring him on for another year, and they're going to let Caleb go, and they're going to draft some other guy to have for year one with this guy, and it's just going to keep going.
They're gonna
This
fuck up this
organization,
hire, aren't they?
the rot starts at the top. We saw this with Washington, and now we saw it with Detroit, and now we're seeing it with Chicago again.
Dude, so
I
like
think
I
I might be seeing
know
it in New England too now.
the
That's
Bears
yeah.
had a tough second half of the schedule. I just like seeing this on paper is fucking stupid. Okay. So here's their schedule since week 11: Packers, Vikings, Lions, 49ers, Vikings. The next 3 weeks: Lions, Seahawks, Packers.
It's just
Yeah.
not nice, man.
No.
Well, I just don't understand why you put all 6 of your divisional games in an 8-week period.
Oh,
For any
God.
team in any division.
Yeah.
Why? That's dumb. Spread them all out.
Agreed.
Like,
yeah.
Like I think the season hot take. I think the season should begin and end with as many divisional games as possible. Why are the Bears opening the year against the Titans? Who fucking cares? Put them against the Packers or the Vikings week 1. That's a cool rivalry to get everybody back in the swing of things. Not
Yeah,
against
like-
the Titans.
On the flip side, they're getting that game out of the way, because imagine if the Bears played the Titans on week 17.
That is true.
I mean, I get both sides of that, truthfully, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think 6 divisional games in 8 weeks is just bad scheduling
Yeah.
all around.
Well, bad scheduling in general, looking at all these teams playing 3 games in 11 days.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
too.
Or 2 games on Monday.
Yep.
Speaking of
Getting
the
me
other
too
Monday
much.
game,
Ugh.
Yeah.
the Week 15 finale was shit from a butt, with both teams' offenses stuck in a rut. Revenge was on the mind for one Desmond Ritter, but the fans were the ones that were left bitter. If you tuned into this game, you deserve a Purple Heart, because the best summary for this game is a massive sharp as the Falcons beat the Raiders 15-9 in what could turn out to be Kirk Cousins' last time in a Falcons uniform.
I just want you guys to know, I was getting ready to type out the phrase Desmond Ritter Legacy Drive at the end of this game. And then I was like, no, hang on. I'm going to let this happen naturally.
It was close.
He genuinely looked good on that last drive. Like, dude was fucking slinging it.
Not only
the problem...
that,
Oh, good.
I was going to say, that was despite the Raiders' offensive line doing everything they could to back them up 10 yards.
I was going to mention that. There was a point where he had like 30 receiving yards on that drive, and they were farther back than where they started. And I was like, what is going on? It was so dumb. Yeah, fucking Raheem Morris had to be shitting himself, because Desmond Ritter completes this awesome pass to Jacoby Myers to get them down to the Atlanta 35. They spike the ball and they get 2 shots at the end zone from the 35. Like, you don't get 2 Hail Mary attempts very often. And the first one was not close to being caught. And then there's still 2 seconds left, and you can literally see Raheem Morris like, oh, God damn it. And I think he hit one of his receivers like on the hands with that Hail Mary, but it ends up getting intercepted. But it was close.
I think Myers got a hand on it, but it was caught by the guy that jumped above him.
Yeah.
Like, it was very close. But I mean, yeah, the Falcons won, but like Kirk Cousins had 112 yards.
Dude, and they had pointed it out. Like, I think it was the interception he threw where he's just late on throws. Like, he's just not pulling the trigger when he needs to.
He has 16 interceptions this year, compared to 18 touchdowns, and 9 of them have been in the last 5 games.
Jesus Christ.
I have
Yeah,
a feeling he re-aggravated his injury, and trying to play through it just made it worse.
That would not surprise me.
Yeah, because he's been, he hasn't been very. I mean, he's never been mobile, but he's been noticeably less mobile. And when you think about how you throw, you drive off of your back foot, and I'm pretty sure that's the one that he injured.
Yeah, it is.
And if you re-aggravate it, it's hard to throw. Like that was. I mean, it wasn't because of an injury, but Carson Wentz 2020 is a great example where like this guy who has this incredible array of physical talents, he gets so sloppy with his footwork and everything that he just can't throw accurately anymore. And that's kind of what it seems like is happening to Kirk Cousins. Because yeah, this was a bad game. This was painful to watch, and like I ended up watching most of this game because at least the score was close. But
it was just so
was
bad.
Yeah,
this felt like a Thursday game.
Yeah, really, yeah.
This is Kirk Cousins. And on Monday night, Kirk Cousins' QB rating was higher than any of the games since they played Dallas in the beginning of November.
That's not saying much, though.
And it was only a 78?
Yeah.
Ugh.
And that was his best result since playing Dallas, which was 144. So genuinely, he probably did get injured, and he should sit out and let this thing heal.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing, because he was so good against the Bucks twice and was solid in that Dallas game. But since then, he's gone from looking like an MVP candidate some of the time to looking like literally Tim Boyle.
Well, and I was gonna say it's obviously in the dues, but we'll address the elephant in the room. Like Kirk Cousins has been officially benched for Michael Penis Jr. and old Mikey Dix. And we'll break that one out. I wonder what the future is because it's been beaten to death. Everybody talked about like, oh, 4-year contract. Realistically, it's a 2-year contract with 2 years that they can get out of pretty easily. But it's not even 1 year. So, like, is Kirk going to stay around for another year? I don't think so. So,
I think it depends on how Michael Penis does in the next 3 weeks. Genuinely.
Yeah, if he plays well,
that might be it for him. Might be wraps.
Yeah, I wonder what if there's a trade in place, or somebody like the Colts will take a flyer on him or something.
The Jets.
Oh
God.
Oh,
Kirk
no.
Cousins for Aaron Rodgers, 1-for-1. Who says no?
I think the entire city of Atlanta might say no to that.
I kind of want to see it. I gotta be honest. Because
Haven't
both those fan
enough?
bases would go ape shit if it goes wrong.
Oh God!
Oh God! There's a safety in this game.
Oh, there was, yeah. It's Alexander
the only
Madison,
cool
right?
part of the game.
Yeah.
But just a goddamn stinker all around.
Yeah.
The Raiders have now lost 10 in a row and have the number 1 overall pick, which, God, Travis Hunter feels like such a Raiders pick now. Like such an Al Davis pick.
Speaking of Falcons, though, Kentavious Street was the one that made the tackle on the safety.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
The street heads pop off.
You're about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
And that was week 15.
Yeah.
Man.
Let's throw it over to the dues.
So, in a year full of a lot of injuries, this one was rough, and even more so because we had to dedicate an entire section on the show sheet to one team. As the Lions lost not just David Montgomery for the year with a torn MCL, not just Aleem McNeil with a torn ACL, not just Khalil Dorsey with a fractured leg, but also Carlton Davis with a fractured jaw. So they had 4 season-ending injuries against the Bills alone, and they now have over 20 players on injured reserve.
Jesus Christ.
22
Yeah,
total.
There is a list where it's I think it's the like number of players on IR or something, and I think they have 20 something like that. And then there's like top 50 players by I think PFF rankings. Or no, it's top 20 players by by PFF rankings, and I think they have 8 of them on IR.
Good fucking god.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like I think 5 or 6 legit Pro Bowl players now just on defense on IR now.
No other team in the league has more than 14.
And this team is 12-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other ones, because there were a lot of other injuries as well on top of this. Obviously, the Patrick Mahomes injury. I think he practiced in full today, so he's a decent chance at playing. But definitely something to watch, because if that gets re-aggravated, that could be really bad news for the Chiefs. The Raiders lost Max Crosby for the year. He underwent ankle surgery last week, so a bad year got worse for them. Mentioned Grant Dubose earlier. He's been released from the hospital and has been put on IR, so his season is over. Nick Chubb broke his foot against the Chiefs, so he's out for the year for the second straight year.
Man.
Xavier Legette suffered a groin injury against Cowboys. Probably will not play against the Cardinals. Nick Hampton, the linebacker for the Rams, tore his pec against the Niners, so he is out for the year as well. So big loss for them in the middle of their defense. Sam Hubbard for the Bengals, who caught a touchdown this past weekend, doubtful against the Browns with a knee injury. So for those keeping score at home, Sam Hubbard, Vidarian Lowe, and Deebo Samuel all have the same amount of touchdown catches this year.
And they all have
And
more than Trey McBride.
Yep. And Dan Skipper.
And Deontay Johnson.
Trayvon Diggs also will not play the rest of the year. He underwent surgery to fix a knee cartilage injury, so an already thin Cowboys defense thins out a little more.
Not gonna lie, I thought he was already out for injury. I'm being honest.
Well, he is now. You got confirmation of that now.
Yeah. I mean, before this, I thought he was out for the year already.
The Jags, who have already lost Gabe Davis and Christian Kirk for the year, have now lost Evan Engram for the year as well. And Trevor Lawrence. He was getting a torn labrum fixed up, so next man up, Brenton Strange.
Sure.
The Falcons put Younghoe Koo on IR with a hip injury, so they've picked up Riley Patterson to kick for the rest of their season. The Cardinals put Amari Demercado and their punter Blake Gillikin on IR. The Commanders put Noah Brown on IR. The Texans put Jalen Petrie on IR. The Falcons also put Jace McClellan on IR. And the Raiders put Sincere McCormick on IR. So there were a lot of running backs in other positions on IR. And so the Raiders are down 3 running backs now.
Jesus Christ.
So they're going to be starting Amir Abdullah for the rest of the year. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
What year is it?
God. The Broncos signed their standout tackle Garrett Bowles to a 4-year, $82 million contract extension. The Cardinals also signed Budda Baker to a 3-year, $54 million extension. The Chiefs released Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he was picked up by the Saints earlier today with the injury to Alvin Kamara, who might play, might not. We'll see. Who knows? And the Dolphins cut OBJ, which is kind of funny. Because he had done nothing all
Showing
year.
up every other week to complete a pass for 6 yards, and then was like, all right, I'm clocking out.
Pretty much.
Later, you guys.
Again, mentioned or let off the show with the Devondre Campbell thing. He was suspended for the rest of the year, so he will not suit up again for the 49ers. And Kirk Cousins was not the only quarterback that was benched this week. Jameis Winston has been benched for Dorian Thompson-Robinson against the Bengals, and Will Levis has once again been benched for Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Also, continuing a trend that we've seen recently, of course, a couple years ago, Deion Sanders was hired by Jackson State in HBCU before going to Colorado. Eddie George was hired by Tennessee State to be their coach. Ed Reed was going to be the coach of Bethune-Cookman before that fell through. And now Norfolk State has hired the hometown hero Michael Vick to be their next football head coach.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
See if he still has that dog in him.
God damn it.
Fucking hell.
Fucking,
I saw that from a business mile
I was
away.
like, somebody's gonna make it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get in positive before it happens.
And
Oh.
not necessarily NFL news, but very cool news. So for the college football heads, last year the Pop Tarts Bowl had an edible Pop Tarts mascot, where after the game all the players just took pieces of the Pop Tart mascot off and ate it.
He was
Well-
painfully screaming the entire time.
Yet this year they've upgraded the trophy, and the trophy for the bowl game this year is a fully operational toaster that they can put the Pop Tarts inside.
They're gonna
of.
toast him alive. He screams, for he does not know.
Man-made horrors beyond my comprehension.
It's
And
just,
then-
you know, that meme of fucking Eddie Murphy in the broccoli costume. It's just painful screams. It's just gonna be that, but you gotta Photoshop Eddie Murphy into a Pop-Tart costume. It's like the Pop-Tarts Bowl mascot being toasted alive. after the game.
And
Anyway,
then on this day in football history, in 1932, the first ever NFL playoff game took place, where the Bears defeated the Portsmouth Spartans, who are now the Lions, in the tie-breaking game to determine the champion of the NFL that year.
so
and
I
now-
just watched a fucking YouTube video about this game. It's called The History of Ties in the NFL. It's by a YouTuber by the name of Hayden, HYDN. Have you ever looked at their records from that game?
I
It's
have not.
It's really fucking funny. The Bears were 6-1-6, I think. Or no, 6-1-4. 6 wins,
What?
1 loss, 4 ties. And the Spartans were 6 wins, 1 loss, and 6 ties.
What the fuck?
Well, the best part about that is the NFL champion back then was determined by winning percentage, and so I think the Spartans were also 6-1-4. And so because one of them had to lose, the loser was guaranteed to drop below the Packers and finish third.
Yeah. And like the thing too is like you go by like head-to-head matchups, and they tied in their only head-to-head matchup as well. And so they were like, fuck, what do we do? So they just had to play another game out of necessity.
Shout out to 1932 also being the final year for the Staten Island Stapletons in the NFL.
Hell yeah.
Something
Big
about
Stapletons
old
fans
sports just tickles my brain in the right way.
Yeah, the
And then,
Dayton triangles.
Yeah. And then lastly, also on this day in football history, the Seahawks won their first ever division title. And it should be noted that that was the AFC West, and they did it by defeating the Los Angeles Raiders.
I love stats like that. Like, do you know what AFC franchise has the worst winning percentage in that conference's history?
Is it the Seahawks?
No, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 0-14 as an AFC team.
They were in the AFC in their first year?
So in '76, the Bucks were in the AFC and the Seahawks were in the NFC, and then they switched after that year just to try to get them to play as many teams as possible. And the Seahawks, both of those stuck for however many years. And then when the 0-2 realignment happened, the Seahawks moved back to the NFC. So the Bucks played 1 year as an AFC team, and they lost all 14 games.
Jesus Christ.
So fun.
Wasn't
fact
it
for you.
something like until last year the Buccaneers had won the AFC North or NFC North more recently than the Lions?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
And
Um,
another reminder again that a Canadian team or an American team has won the Grey Cup more recently than and a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup.
I love that stat so much. Yeah, so that was football.
Yeah. There's a lot of
course.
this week.
Let me bring this back up. We probably don't need to do done in rings because everybody's pretty much done, but we can do some playoff clinching scenarios.
the Panthers lost again, so we have to put them on there
Oh
again.
shit! Okay, yeah, hang on.
Well, I think we
Uh,
can officially put the Colts on there now, also as a formality,
Yeah, I'm okay.
I would agree with that.
and the
Yeah.
49ers. They're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Okay. So Panthers, Colts, and 49ers all going back on there.
I think everybody else is still in it though.
Yeah.
Good thing we did it
yes.
to the Dolphins like 8 weeks ago.
I know. I was starting to get nervous when they started winning again.
I was like, uh-oh.
So, some clinching scenarios. The Chiefs clinched the number 1 seed by winning, and Buffalo losing. So, that's pretty simple. If the Steelers beat the Ravens, they clinch the division. They're already in. Baltimore gets in if they win, or if the Dolphins and Colts both lose. Broncos are winning in, and if the other 3 teams all lose. Chargers are win plus Dolphins and Colts loss. This is the simplest one. The Eagles clinch the division if they win. Packers clinch a spot if they win, or if a bunch of other teams lose. And Washington clinches their spot if they win. And a combination of Atlanta, LA, and Seattle and Arizona lose. So straightforward for a few. Other teams probably gonna have to wait a week or two. And with that,
The Colts can clinch a spot on the couch by losing.
We can head on over to pick they thems. Last week, all of us won our locks. Pretty stoked about that.
Yeah.
Steven 11-6, Dewey 10-7. I went 13-4. My lead grows.
I'm glad we all picked our tie wrong, per usual.
One of these days we're gonna get it.
It's gotta happen.
And with that, we start with Thursday night Broncos at Chargers.
Broncos firing on all cylinders. I mean, Justin Herbert's not 100%. I think this is going to be a pretty easy win for Denver.
Yeah, I got to go with the Broncos as well. I'm
going to go Denver here as well.
I'm not feeling great about the Chargers right now. And then we kick off Sunday afternoon. Texans at Chiefs. See,
it's going to be the Chiefs. I mean, no matter what, it's going to be the Chiefs. So give me.
Yeah,
the
this
Chiefs.
is the thing. Is I'm like trying to talk myself into. I'm like Patrick Mahomes is going to be limited, but it doesn't matter. It's Chiefs.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. There's going to be some weird fuck shit in this game too, because it's a Saturday game.
Oh, it is Saturday.
Oh
that's
God,
right.
I forgot we're doing those again.
Yeah, the Chiefs bullshit will continue until morale improves. Hint: the morale will not improve.
It did not improve.
No.
Other Saturday game: Steelers at Ravens.
Steelers, baby, come on.
Must-win game for the Ravens if you're gonna stay alive in the division race.
I think the Steelers are gonna sweep them. I really do. I think they're gonna get back on their horse after the shit whipping that they just had this past weekend and get it together and win it.
I'll be the dissenting voice. I'll take Ravens. I think with how much the Ravens have struggled against the Steelers recently, and the doubt's kind of creeping in after the hot start to this year, got to go win this one. It's not must win in the sense of like playoff stipulations, but morale wise, gotta get this one. So, and then we kick off Sunday with a few meaningless games. Giants at Falcons.
Falcons.
I believe Michael Penix will win his first start in the league. Give me the Falcons.
Agreed. It helps that the Giants aren't trying. So
yeah, this team fucking blows ass.
Yeah.
In fact, you know what? I'm locking the Atlanta Falcons. I believe in Michael Penix Jr.
I thought about it. I was debating it.
I was gonna say I was also like, man, that would be a good lockable game.
I'm assuming that risk for you guys. If he wins, they're going to the Super
Bowl. They're getting into the playoffs.
Yeah. Yep. Falcons Steelers Super Bowl. I'm calling it now.
Then he turned off the Xbox.
Rematch of the old Tommy Maddox, Michael Vick tie from 02.
God.
Cardinals at Panthers. Man, this one's kind of tough because
This
I-
really could go either way.
Yeah, I almost feel like this is the like a home wrecker Panthers win that knocks the Cardinals out of playoff contention.
The Panthers are coming off a very subpar game at home and about their worst game in a month. The Cardinals are coming off of their best game in a month. I think this is lining up well for the Cardinals. I'll be picking the Birds over the Cats.
I'm gonna take. You know what? I'm gonna believe in our boy Greg Dortch. I'll take the Cardinals.
I think I'll take the Panthers then.
Okay.
All right. First in the Who Wants to Lock competition, it's Lions at Bears.
Lions.
I'm not taking that bait. I'm still picking the Lions. I'm not locking them though because they're getting decimated, dog.
How many times have I locked the Lions this year? It's not many, I don't think. I've only locked them twice. Fuck it, I'm gonna take it. Lock the Lions.
I locked them at all this year.
Well, it's because I'm usually waiting for one of you guys to lock them before I finish saying it. No, you have not locked them. Oh,
Wow.
shit. Okay.
Well, that'll continue this week, so there you go.
Then it's Titans at Colts. Who cares?
Man, I don't want to.
Genuinely,
Fuck
who
it,
cares?
tie.
We
We're
could
doing
skip
this.
Well, newsflash, this isn't going to be the worst game of the week either.
Yeah.
There's a worse one coming up.
Oh wait, I'm Oh God.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm picking the Colts, but I feel like this is a game that the Titans are going to fuck around and win just because they can.
Yeah, I'll take the Titans. Fuck it.
The AFC South, all possibility off. How
Please
could this
let
go
this be a
wrong this
tie.
time?
Rams at Jets.
Rams.
By 2.4 quintillion.
They're rolling. Aaron Rodgers doesn't know how to play football, so
Well, he looked okay this past weekend.
he's old.
So that was, I think he was also a Davant E. Adams merchant in that game. So.
Devontae Adams. Battle to decide the NFC East crown, potentially. Eagles at Commies.
The Commies against the Eagles last year or the last couple years reminds me a lot of like the early to mid 2010s Patriots Dolphins games, where the Patriots were almost always the better team, but the Dolphins usually found a way to sneak one in every couple years. The Commies have done that with the Eagles, and I think this is their week that they're going to pull it off and get one against the Eagles, because they did it last year when they weren't very good, and they're much better this year, and they're at home this time. I think this lines up well for them to steal one.
Agreed, comrade. Oh, we taking Commanders. Mostly because I just want it to happen.
Well, yeah.
I still can't sit right from watching the Eagles this past week. They're the best team in football. Give me the Eagles. Out of fear. No, out of fear.
Please, Eagles, I just want to see my family again. As Nick Sirianni hands you a phone, like, "Hi, babe, are they being okay to you?" Browns at Bengals.
I am locking the Bengals because there's no way the Browns win a game that Dorian Thompson-Robinson starts.
Yeah, I'll take the Bengals.
This man doesn't know AFC North football.
I do know AFC North football, but it's DTR. Come on.
I'll still be taking the Bengals, but I think the funniest possible thing could still happen.
That would be really funny, yeah.
It could, and I'll look like a dumbass, so I hope it doesn't now.
Vikings at Seahawks.
Yeah, Vikings.
Yeah, taking our boy.
Did they
have
say
a
how long
Sam-
Gino's going to be out?
I think he has a chance to play.
He tried to come back into the game at one point, but ended up he's probably fine, but
Okay, so it's not
I
serious.
better hope he does, because Sam Howell looked like shit in that game.
he threw for 24 yards. It was bad. It was really bad.
Speaking of really bad,
Patriots at Bills.
Bills. Thank you.
Actually, I think I'm gonna change my lock to the Bills.
I am scared for my life. Man, I know the Pats got one against the Bills last year. this isn't happening again. Like, I'm picking them every week because I always do, and I feel like either this game or the Week 18 one, they're gonna find a way to keep close. But one of them is gonna be a shit stomping of epic proportions, and I'm not prepared for it.
Oh my god.
This is not gonna be fun.
No, especially with how much the Bills are rolling right now.
But yet, like, Josh Allen's gotten so much better in the air again over the last couple weeks, and the Patriots' pass defense is absolute fucking garbage. They might drop 50 on us.
Oh my god.
They might just drop 50. And I don't
I
even
will-
know when the last time someone scored 50 on the Patriots was. I could not tell you.
I will be there no matter what.
I'm gonna,
Also,
be, I'm gonna be in your walls no matter what.
Guys,
Bullshit.
I'm looking at pick'em stats real quick. You guys have both picked. Steven, you picked the Lions 9 times. Dewey 8 times. You've got every single one of those right.
Fuck
You
yeah.
have- Steven has picked the Browns 4 times and has gotten it wrong all 4 times.
Have I gotten any of their wins right?
No.
Beautiful.
You are
I-
0 and 2.
I looked it up. The last time anybody hung 50 on the Patriots was 1972, when the Dolphins beat the Patriots 52-0.
Oh, that
Oh,
was the
God.
undefeated year, so that makes sense. But it's really been over 50 years since someone's done that?
And then before that, it was in the AFL.
Oh, was that the 1963 championship game when the Chargers did it?
Yes.
They've only had it happen twice ever?
Yep.
Well, it's about to be fucking 3.
Wait a
Go
second. This is the first time I've gotten to lock the Bills all season. Because usually I'm just letting you guys get first dibs. Oh shit.
The funniest possible thing could happen.
Quick tangent. Do you guys want to do a quick best and worst predicted game show without cheating? Steven, who's your best predicted team?
Probably the Steelers.
It is not. It is the Detroit Lions. You are 11 and 3 picking them.
Oh, cool.
Do you know who your worst team is?
I'm gonna say the Falcons.
No, it is the Chargers. You are 3 and 11 predicting the Chargers. Dewey, what is your best predicted team? This is hilarious. Yours are hilarious.
I honestly, fuck it. I'm gonna Packers.
No, it's the Bears. You are 12 and 2 picking Bears games.
What? What the
I
fuck?
desperately need to know which 2 you got wrong. And do you know what your worst predicted team is?
Is it not the Patriots?
It's the Patriots. You're 3 and 11.
I was gonna say I pick
Also-
them every week, and there's no way it's not.
Yeah. Also, your most picked team. And then do you this one is truly baffling to me, is my best predicted team, which makes me feel great as a hater. It's the fucking Dolphins. I'm 12 and 2 predicting the Dolphins. And
Oh,
my worst team is the Steelers at 5 and 9. Every time I have faith in the Steelers, they lose. So
Oh.
anyway, yeah, we all picked the
What the hell?
Bills, and I'm locking the Bills for the first time this year.
I got
Uh,
the Bears wrong in week 3 against the Colts. And I'm trying to find the other one real quick.
Well, while you do that, we'll pick this fucking pointless game, which is Jaguars at Raiders.
Why?
Who
Jaguars.
Why?
cares? I'm gonna take the
I,
Jags because I think the
Ma-
Raiders are tanking.
Mac Jones is less bad than Desmond Ritter.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
hey,
not
Mac,
good. He's less bad.
You also don't have the Saints Chiefs score in the table for week 5.
Oh shit. I don't. Hang on. Let's fix that right now.
That game never
NFL.
ended. Or
Yeah. It's
that game never
13-26.
happened.
This is gonna swing the fucking pick'em standings.
And you also don't have the Bucks Chiefs game in for week 9.
What the fuck?
Look at you slacking off over here.
Our goddamn score guy. Oh, I think I just didn't want to put that one in because I was mad. Because the
Well,
Bucks
you know what?
lost
That's,
in overtime.
that's understandable.
All right, now it's fixed. Okay. Anyway, that changed nothing about the stats that I predicted or said earlier. Anyway, Dewey, who's your pick between Jags and Raiders?
Tie.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I can't in good conscience pick either of these teams. They're so bad.
Yeah, truly, who cares? Like, do we even have to play this game?
Well,
Like, would
well-
anybody notice?
no.
We don't even get the Gardner Minshew revenge game part of it. It's bullshit.
We might get
sucks.
a new most useless punt in NFL history.
Oh, okay, we got that to look forward to. We're gonna get a 5-2 scoregami.
I'm down for that.
49ers at Dolphins. Mike McDaniel revenge game.
This one suddenly feels meaningless.
I'm gonna say Dolphins because there are bad vibes coming out of San Francisco right now.
Raheem Mostert revenge game too, by the way.
Oh, true. Yeah, I'll take the Dolphins as well. The 49ers do not pass the vibe check.
Fuck it, Dolphins sweep. 2 6-8 teams that had playoff expectations that injuries derailed, and I think the Dolphins right now are slightly better than the other one.
Yeah. Sunday night, Bucks at Cowboys. I will be taking the Buccaneers because the Cowboys have not won a game at home this year.
As
The
will I.
Bucks
Buccaneers,
are
baby.
rolling.
Taking the Bucks. I think the Cowboys are going to keep this one close, but I think the Bucks are still going to win at the end of it.
Agreed. And then finally, Monday night, Saints at Packers.
I mean, yeah, Packers. Like, come on.
Packers.
Yeah.
Packers.
I'm gonna pick the Packers, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints do something silly in this game.
Yeah, the Rizzler.
They
does
He's
something
got
they are-
something up
wild.
his sleeve.
they've been playing very chaotic football.
Yeah. Do love me some chaotic football. All right, and that is pick they thems for week 16. I cannot believe we are this far into the year already.
Thank
Yeah,
fuck,
we-
I'm glad it's almost over.
And we haven't missed a single episode, which is kind of fucking crazy.
Impressive.
Good like that.
Dare I say we're built different. So,
Just a little bit.
Constructed alternative.
and now that I said that, we're gonna probably miss next week's show because it's Christmas. So
Well,
we'll figure it out.
just do it on Tuesday.
I was gonna say, are you guys not running Dash on Tuesday?
No, I'm not running Dash. Actually, we wouldn't mind running. Just putting it back on Tuesday.
Okay, yeah, we can do that then. So, if that works for you, dude.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. Sweet. This could have been a meeting.
Could have been an email or a Discord PM.
Like, no, you're gonna listen to us plan how we're gonna record it next week.
Yeah.
Well, any closing thoughts, you guys?
I do. Shout out to Navy for beating Army this year. Let's
Hell
fucking
yeah.
go.
Shout out last night during the Frisco Bowl when they marked that guy down when he clearly shouldn't have been because that
Oh
was
my
cool as
God.
shit.
Also, shout out Christina Applegate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on that note, we'll see you next time.
No.
Okay. Actually, you're
Won't
gonna
see
hear
us
us
next
next time.
It's a podcast, you know. The audio. Can't actually see us.
It's an
We're not
audio
doing it.
only show. We don't have face cam, Matt.